Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at our big story. It is D-Day in France. Ballots have opened across the nation and the final round of voting is underway. And in the latest, the Interior Ministry announced the voter turnout till midday. The turnout stands at 26.4%, down nearly 2 percentage points from the same time in the second round of presidency race in 2017. Just a short while ago, President Emmanuel Macron cast his ballot in the Le Touquet. On his way to the polling booth, Macron was greeted by several supporters. French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen cast her vote in the Hénin-Beaumont region in what has been termed as one of the most polarizing elections in the country's history. French citizens living abroad are also queuing up to vote for the elections at home. In Canada's Montreal City, expats believe that French election is bound to have an international impact, especially in the European Union.
C'était important pour moi de venir ici aujourd'hui parce que ça fait longtemps que j'habite à Montréal, ça fait 11 ans maintenant. J'ai aussi beaucoup d'amis et beaucoup de familles qui sont encore en France et qui vivent le quotidien de la politique française, qui ont un impact. Puis j'ai aussi 2 enfants qui peut-être vont aller en France un jour pour vivre, ou même moi-même. Donc la politique française a un impact international.
The choice is between two leaders with starkly different ideologies, incumbent President and centrist leader Emmanuel Macron and far-right leader Marine Le Pen. Macron is looking to secure a second consecutive term, something that has not happened in the last 2 decades. Under Macron, France has seen many predictable and unpredictable crises: yellow vest protests, COVID-19 pandemic, and the ongoing war in Europe. So it will be interesting to see if the French people put their trust in Macron again. This is Le Pen's third and last try for the presidency. For her, the victory is important because her political future depends on it. Her position as the chief of the National Rally Party might be at risk. The most recent opinion polls show a Macron with a solid and slightly growing lead. But experts say that a surprise Le Pen victory cannot entirely be ruled out. This is because in France, a high number of voters are yet to decide who they will vote for, and many are unsure if they will vote at all.
Ouais, pour moi c'était important, surtout je me suis réveillée à 8h du matin exprès pour ça, pour pas avoir du monde. Après, c'est vrai que les candidats... c'est un peu mitigé, quoi. Moi, j'étais pas pour, mais je pense qu'il faut qu'on vienne voter justement pour que ça change, même si les 2 candidats, c'est un peu... moi, c'est pas mon choix principal du moins. Donc,
Among the biggest deciding factors is how the supporters of veteran left-winger Jean-Luc Mélenchon will vote. In the first runoff, Mélenchon secured a surprising 3rd place, with nearly 22% of the votes. Both candidates have been working hard to woo that far-left base. Polls suggest more Mélenchon voters are heeding his appeal not to vote for Le Pen and will either vote for Macron or stay at home. Meanwhile, as the votes are cast, just near the Eiffel Tower, workers were seen building a stage for Emmanuel Macron's speech. He is scheduled to address his supporters today. For more updates on this story, our correspondent Rosie Burchett has sent us this report from Paris.
There is no clarity on that whatsoever. When campaigning closed on Friday, the polls did suggest Emmanuel Macron had a lead of between 10 and 12 points, but of course it is still everything to play for. You mentioned Jean-Luc Mélenchon. He was the leftist candidate that came 3rd in the first round of the presidential elections and gaining around 1 in 5 votes. That is why both candidates, Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron, have been courting the left vote for the last 2 weeks of their campaigning, trying to get some of those votes that went to Mélenchon, back to the ballot boxes and to their side of the campaign. Now, while Jean-Luc Mélenchon told his supporters not to give a single vote to Marine Le Pen, he did not formally or explicitly endorse Emmanuel Macron, and polls suggest that around 2/3 of his supporters might either spoil their ballots or simply not show up to vote. And that is certainly one big question mark and something no doubt of a concern to both of those candidates. That's why they closed that campaigning on Friday with a plea from both sides to come and vote and show up and exercise that right regardless of where the vote goes.
And for further insights on the race to the Élysée Palace, we were earlier joined by Paris-based freelance journalist Lisa Louis. Listen in.
Some analysts have been saying that it could reach actually record highs. Now, in French history, in the history of the Fifth Republic since the 1950s, the highest abstention rate was 31%. That could be topped this time around because many people feel, as Rosie just mentioned, that none of the two candidates appeal to them. Many left-wing voters think that a left-wing candidate should have made it into the second round, and they're not willing to vote for Emmanuel Macron, the current president, because they feel that he has put in place too many market-orientated reforms, although he has also carried out some left-wing reforms, and during the COVID pandemic, for example, spent billions of euros to keep the economy afloat here. More than 10% of the voters who have said that they would turn out to vote, they haven't made up their mind just yet. So if all this comes together, then there could be a slim possibility that he does not win the elections. But, you know, mind you, polls in France, as opposed to polls in the UK or the US, have traditionally, historically, always been right when it comes to the presidential elections. And the polls are showing right now that Emmanuel Macron is in the lead.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.